At nearly 70 years old, Juan left his son's home and got into a car that was taking him to the nursing home where he believed he would spend his final years. In a way, he felt relieved, thinking he would no longer be a burden to his family. But upon arriving at the facility and seeing where he had been brought, he broke down in tears. What you are about to witness is a true story about how some children can treat their parents. Juan had started to forget many things in his life and experienced constant pain throughout his body. Aware of his growing ailments, he developed a strong desire to move into a nursing home, not wanting to be a burden to his son and daughter-in-law. It pained him to realize that he had become dependent on others. Since moving in with his children, they began to avoid him. They would come home late every day and go straight to bed without even speaking. Initially, they would eat together at the table, but now there was no time for that, as they often claimed work was the reason. They eventually hired a woman to deliver lunch and dinner for Juan. But before all this, Juan had not always lived with his son and daughter-in-law. He had his own house, a place passed down from his parents. Years ago, he met the love of his life there after her ex-husband threw her out of the house, leaving her with a child. Juan found her on the street and, out of kindness, helped her. Over time, he fell in love with her, and fortunately, his feelings were reciprocated. They married, though the couple was never able to have children of their own. In those days, it was expensive and difficult to find doctors who would help make the dream of having your own child come true. But Juan had no problems. He accepted the child as his own and even gave him his last name. And he always gave his all so that his family would not lack anything. In truth, he was a loving father and husband. But after Elena's death, everything changed. Sadness overwhelmed him. Now, without a wife, he lived alone in a large house. His son and daughter-in-law visited him often, but everything changed. One day, when it got dark, Juan lit a candle because the electricity had gone out and fell asleep on the sofa. The candle fell and his entire wooden house quickly caught fire. Juan lost consciousness from inhaling smoke. Fortunately, they managed to take him out of the house in time, which was completely engulfed in fire. Unfortunately, the firefighters arrived when everything was already destroyed. Memories, photographs, and belongings of his beloved Elena turned to ashes. Relatives, frightened by the current situation, found Juan in the hospital. He fell into a deep coma. According to doctors, the smoke reached his brain, and severe intoxication occurred. Despite the doctor's poor prognosis, Juan woke up 24 days later. However, when he found out what had happened to his house, he complained, "Why did you let me live? I don't want to stay here anymore. Son, you should have let go of me." Arriving at the house of his daughter-in-law and son, Juan realized that the children were spending less and less time with him. Due to their absence, a neighbor was hired to bring food to the old man throughout the day. A few days later, this woman, while delivering food, told Juan some things. "This morning they told me that at any time they could ask me not to come. Nowadays, most children are like this. When we reach a certain age, they no longer need us. Suddenly, they don't even want to spend time with us anymore because we are a burden to them. They practically kick us out of the house. I hope they take you to a nice place and make some good friends, because I doubt they will visit you," the neighbor said. "Don't worry, Gloria. I always told them it was best not to bring me to their house. I'll ask them to put me in a nursing home where I won't be a burden to anyone," Juan said, looking down. And now the old man finally understood why his son and daughter-in-law did not spend so much time with him. He realized that he was a nuisance in the house. Time passed. One day, the son and daughter-in-law didn't even come to spend the night. The saddest thing was that it was Juan's birthday that day, and although he received congratulations from the children in the morning, he hoped to spend more time with them. A few days later, the son returned home from work with his wife, and they found Juan with a handful of pills. Fortunately, they arrived in time to avoid tragedy. "I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be a burden anymore. Better take me to a mental hospital. Please, son, I'm not happy here within these four walls. I don't want to live anymore." "Son, don't be evil. Let me go. You have already done so much for me." "Why don't you sell my land and pay for the shelter?" the old man begged. "Dad, now is not the time to talk about this. You better go and rest." "I had a very busy day today, and I don't want to talk to you about it," the son answered sternly. "If you don't want to take me to the nursing home, then I'll go and talk to the director myself," Juan said. That day, the son went to bed, leaving his father talking to himself. Several more months passed, and the old man was still not taken to a nursing home. He really wanted to be taken away. He didn't want to feel unhappy and irritated, but one day, his son brought him some documents. The old man asked, "What is this?" "Dad, this is to sell your land, and with the proceeds, I will conclude an agreement with the nursing home. In a few days, you will be able to go. It's spacious, there's a big garden, and you'll feel like you're at home," the son said with a smile. The old man felt relieved and sighed happily without reading what was written in the document. One day, seeing that he still had not been taken to the nursing home, his father asked, "Have you sold the land yet? When are you taking me to the nursing home?" "Dad, I still can't find a buyer. Be more patient," replied the son. Days passed, but they still didn't take the old man, and then one Friday evening, when the son returned home from work, the old man was already waiting for him and told him, "Next week, I'll go look for a nursing home myself. Let them give me any bed. It doesn't matter anymore." The son tried to laugh it off. "Well, then you'll have to wait for some old man to die before they'll give you a bed. But in the meantime, they'll probably make you sleep on the floor." The next day, the son and daughter-in-law came out with new clothes and supplies, as well as sheets and towels, and Juan thought it was for him. Perhaps these were necessary items for placement in a nursing home. The elderly man felt great relief. He did not ask about it, being sure that it was so. He then went out to the park in front of the house to get some fresh air, mentally saying, "I can finally leave." However, remembering the words of his neighbor Gloria, he suddenly became sad. At that moment, the old man realized that the neighbor was right. Maybe now it will be easier for the children to live without him at home. Juan went to his room and began to put all his things into suitcases. He tried to do it as quickly as possible because he was afraid that his son might change his mind, and so he left the house when suddenly he met his neighbor on the street, who realized that the old man was leaving. Juan immediately told her the news. At this point, Gloria said, "Yes, I know. Yesterday I was told that you will no longer be here. You will live with lonely old people." Juan nodded and felt sad, but he decided it was for the best. Soon, he got into the car. Juan looked longingly at his son's house one last time, and soon the car drove off. While they were driving, the old man looked out the window at the landscapes, hoping with every kilometer passed to see a nursing home. Meanwhile, he remembered those moments when he was younger. The moment of the wedding, his son's birthdays, moments with his wife. He missed them a lot. Suddenly, his heart became sad, and he shed a few tears. The old man didn't even understand where they were taking him, but suddenly he saw that they were on a lonely road without a single house. However, the further they drove, the more Juan seemed to see familiar places, but he thought that it was all his imagination. Then the car parked. The son opened the door of the sleeping old man, woke him up, and helped him out. Juan was hoping to see a nursing home. However, he saw something he never expected. He could not believe it, because in front of him stood a burnt house, completely rebuilt. "Dear Dad, I hope you like it. We did everything as quickly as possible," the son said with a smile. Meanwhile, the old man was truly stunned and dumbfounded. He didn't think this could happen. The son added, "It's a pity that there is still something left to do, but you already have everything you need. You have a kitchen, a bathroom, a huge room to sleep, air conditioning, and heating. The only thing you will have to do is take care of your garden, which you love so much. In addition, we will buy you a generator if the power goes out one day. By the way, I have something else for you." One of the firefighters found this album. Opening it, Juan saw photos of his youth with his wife. The man burst into tears like a child. The old man felt like he was in a dream. You see, as soon as the house burned down, the son, with the help of his daughter-in-law and neighbors, began to rebuild it. They also modified some of the land. Because of this, he tricked his father into signing some papers to get permission for new construction. The old man always thought that this was being done to sell his land. Also, it was for this reason that the son and daughter-in-law did not spend much time with the old man at home, no matter how much they wanted to, because they built with their own hands to save money. Additionally, some neighbors made donations. "Father, we didn't want to tell you about this because we wanted to make it a surprise," the son said. The old man cried with joy and scolded the couple for not telling what was happening, but he was grateful for the surprise. In addition, the son did not tell him that they would come to him every weekend as they had before. The old man apologized for thinking poorly of his son and daughter-in-law, believing that they wanted to drive him out of their house. Undoubtedly, misunderstanding can lead a person to suffering. The children were not upset and were glad to see their father in their home. There is no doubt that Juan raised his son very well, a son who, although he was not related to him by blood, was dear to him by heart. The respect they had for each other will always be priceless. Nowadays, unfortunately, many children send their parents to nursing homes to spend their last days of life. Sometimes children do not have time for maintenance and care, especially if they work. But there are also those who simply send their parents to a nursing home to take the weight off their shoulders. The saddest thing is to abandon the one who gave us life, or rather, the one who gave his life to take care of us. Dear viewers, would you send your parents to a nursing home? Please tell us in the comments. And if you liked this video, then like and subscribe to our channel.